Hey, welcome to the Linux channel. So a couple of weeks ago, I have installed FreeNAS in a VM so that I can test its capabilities, and also I can learn how I can set the ZFS pools via FreeNAS GUI and things like that. So during that time, I was quite intrigued by FreeBSD platform because I'm a Linux guy, as you can see the channel. So I mostly cover concepts of open source based on Linux platform. So for those who don't know yet about FreeBSD, it's a complete different operating system, and it's not just some kind of distribution in a way the Linux works, because Linux is sort of loosely packed. The Linux we mean only the core kernel, and in case you want to really use that kernel, you need the distribution, and you need to choose the distribution of your choice, and there are certain distros meant for server or production usage. There are also distributions like Ubuntu desktop, especially it's meant for any regular desktop usage. It can be a developer desktop, or it can be any sort of end user desktop. So in this case, you can see even my desktop is Ubuntu, and earlier, before using Ubuntu, I was using once I was using CentOS, and then and I was also using Fedora for most of the times. So FreeBSD is quite completely new to me. I have done various trials long back. I think around 6 months before also I have done an exclusive FreeBSD install in a VM like this, and I was unable to get the GUI. I'm not a guy who is although I work in kernel space programming, I'm not a guy who is interested to sit with command line interface all the time. So I need a sort of mixture, even in case if I have a server, I need a mixture of tools so that the GUI really helps to debug any information, and it also increases the density of the screen versus any command line. So this is the objective, and command line, you do some typo error, it is quite dangerous, versus especially like moving files to and fro and things like that. You do any typo, it is quite dangerous. So in this aspect also, I kind of appreciate having a GUI with that. So FreeBSD, if you install, you don't get the GUI by default. You need to install on top of it. So I tried various attempts, and I'm quite unable to get the same, and at some point of time I also thought moving or else porting Toffee on or Toffee data center on a FreeBSD platform or stuff like that, but it's not something what I thought about, because it is completely a different operating system, and once you explore FreeBSD, you will know that FreeBSD is a unique case where you get the entire operating system package, or distro is the entire package is FreeBSD. That includes kernel and user space apps and stuff like that. So this is what I can able to understand. Although 6 months before I did, I'm unable to appreciate its the package what FreeBSD is offering versus what Linux is missing. So just because I do use Linux, I don't have any sort of full, I don't need to incline for every reason Linux is the best. I need to kind of explore the other opportunities. Same way it happens. Same way these things are applicable for users like you. So you have to explore. If you are very much interested in exploring open source software, you need to give a try of FreeBSD because of these factors, and it is extremely stable. It's just not like Linux distribution. The model of Linux where it is good and where it turns bad is the kernel as such. It is good, but we can't use the kernel as it is. We need a distribution, and we need something on top of it. So this is where the problem starts, because each distribution is a small project community. We have CentOS, it is driven by Red Hat. You have CentOS is like almost like untested or unsupported version of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and you have Fedora, and in the case of Ubuntu, it's the more or less same things happens. So I have also used SUSE and a couple of other distributions. So what I kind of see in all these cases is it's somewhere in case if you are a graphic designer, because I do extensive video editing and graphic designing in my Linux desktop. So I need a desktop operating system with which has all these capabilities, extremely good graphic performance, rendering performance, and extremely good like Audacity you use, extremely good sound editing capabilities and stuff like that. So these are my various other requirements, not just sitting with some terminal and keep coding some kernel stuff as such. So I have one end I be like a core systems programmer, one end I be like a designer or an artist as such. So I need to have a desktop which caters both the needs, or else I can have a dedicated desktop just for doing video editing. I can have another desktop meant for mainstream programming, stuff like that. So these are various requirements, but other than that I need also a dedicated server or servers down the lane, so that I can have one can be customized as a custom NAS. So this is the reason I was exploring free NAS, and I was really mesmerized with what FreeBSD is offering, which Linux misses out. So the problem with Linux is there is this loosely coupled architecture. Is what it is modular, I don't deny that, but it is loosely coupled. So suddenly you install Ubuntu and then you do an update, and suddenly you find I find these days when I do a copy of a file in SMB share, and then while doing the same, if I do a refresh, the Nautilus crashes or hangs as it is, and I need to kind of kill that process, and I need to restart the process, and it is quite irritating and stuff like that. I have also seen issues like this in Kden Live and a couple of other applications. So this is where this is the reason what happened is I have switched from Fedora to Ubuntu. So once I remember installing or upgrading the Fedora distribution, so soon after the upgrade I found suddenly the network interfaces stopped working. Then I felt some issue with the network manager. So because if config seems to be fine, but it is not pulling up the IP address or setting something properly. So then later I discovered the network manager is crashing, and so things like that. So this is what is the issue you can face many Linux users when they use mainstream, especially this is not a big issue with desktop based usage, but it is a big issue in case if you use this in production systems in servers. So I don't deny the fact that worldwide Linux is widely adopted, but that doesn't deny that it has its own rough edges like this. So similar to that I also experienced when I did this time a proper installation of FreeBSD. When I was installing packages, it is somehow stalling, and then I need to cancel it out, Control C, and then I need to redo the same, and then it is trying to pull from the server. So I'm not sure why it has happened, but earlier I never seen such an issue during my previous trials. So having said that, I was successfully able to install, and I see that it is a lot more lightweight, and the software is also updated, because in case if you choose to use Linux like 1404 Ubuntu LTS for its stability or maturity aspect, you need to install a little bit fairly old distribution, and you may get highly bug fixed and well maintained kernel as such. But having said that, FreeBSD has an advantage, because what you are essentially getting is an entire package of operating system with user space applications and tools which are well tried, tested, and put together. So and this is in sync with the kernel development, unlike in the case of Linux as well. So kernel development happens separate by itself, and then it also has another issue that every sort of feature goes into the kernel, and it itself takes enough time to get matured, and these are various issues you find once you are started using it as a advanced user level. So I'm not saying for a basic user to do certain basic things other than playing games. So you can just adopt Linux, no doubt about it. I have been frustrated using Windows as my laptop operating system ever since I was working full time in my previous companies as well, because they just provide a laptop which contains Windows, and it really frustrates and freaks me out because it slows down the laptop after some time. After a couple of hours it becomes extremely slow. So with the FreeBSD you get this unified interface, which is what it caught my attention, and I do, after some serious trials, I do able to appreciate this fact, unlike something like this available in the case of Linux. So what I can show is, I can show my test install in my VM. This video is again not about how you can install FreeBSD on your desktop. You can find this by the way, FreeBSD website also have extensive documentation of various things. So this is also kind of appreciable because it is available as a platform by themselves. As they are giving the entire operating system. The community is also providing you the complete documentation. It's just how to use the entire operating system. It's just not some documentation about kernel or something alone. So you can see here, this is my VM. You can see this is my previous install, which is FreeNAS, and below that you can see the FreeBSD I have installed. So I have, after it is installed, I installed GNOME, and I have installed all that window manager components and few tools like Firefox, VLC and stuff like that, so that I can test how it is suited as a sort of generic desktop, along being a something like server or something like that. So you can see it is extremely fluid. I mean, I have assigned 4 cores, around 4 GB of RAM for this, but it doesn't need so much RAM, and it even doesn't need so many cores at this, in a state like this. But having said that, I just want to try. So you can see here, it's just booted up, and it is opening the window manager. So you can see the same, the FreeBSD is booted up, and you can see the GUI desktop. So let me log in. So right out of the box, I was able to get audio and network connectivity. It is also a little different than what I have seen so far in Linux world. So the networking setup you can do quite easily. You have various other tools. So you can see here, I have not pulled many shortcuts. You can see I have installed a basic applications like VLC, Audacity and Firefox and stuff like that. So let's open Firefox, and let me take my headphones so that we can try its playback, audio playback capabilities. Let me open, say, the Linux channel website, so that we can play any test YouTube video. So as you can see here, guys, I'm inside the Firefox page, so we can play a test video. So you can listen the audio coming through the same. So I find it's all working together, and it is beautifully working so far. So I don't have yet any issues. I need to still see various other options. So as a matter of fact, what I have done is I have also installed webmin so that I can remotely administrate the FreeBSD installation. So let me also show that you can have a look. So this is my webmin page, and I have also installed the regular tools like MySQL. In Linux terminology, we say as a LAMP, which stands for Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. In the context of FreeBSD, they say it as FAMP, which is FreeBSD, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So it just works beautifully. You can see here, this is my demo page. So you can see here, it's printing, you can see the source, it is printing hello world, and then followed by which my name I'm printing through PHP. So this confirms, through PHP pulled from a database record of MySQL. So it is pulling a record. Inside the record, it has this string name, which is Kiran, and this way I can able to make sure even FAMP is installed successfully in the same. So so far it is extremely stable, and I can see the entire unification of operating system as a single package, unlike in the case of Linux, what it offers. I have also installed tools like GCC and did some test compilation, and I was able to run TrueBench, benchmarking on the same, and I did various tests, and so far it is working good, and it is quite interesting. And as an adoption, sometime soon I can see that maybe a couple of servers in my lab I may choose to migrate towards FreeBSD, and once it is stable enough, because I'm also still new to FreeBSD, about how to upgrade, how to manage, and how to administrate the same. So for some time I may use the webmin interface, because it is a lot more easy, because you don't need to fiddle with any custom commands and stuff like that. So as a matter of fact, if you use any server, it can be even Linux server, it is good to install the webmin in the same, because you can do remote administration. It can be a headless system without a monitor or something like that. So in that case, it will be quite handy to install webmin in the same. So this way I may adopt initially couple of servers, so that I don't need to maintain quite often. At the same time, the entire operating system is tightly packed, and tightly well maintained and integrated, all the components, and it works just like that as well. So this is my first criteria, followed by which I may also do a test desktop. I may do things like video editing and stuff like that in FreeBSD down the line. So having said that, it is not that I'm completely ditching Linux as well. So I do work in Linux, but I do foresee there is some future which is there with FreeBSD. So there is no doubt, if you see Apple's Mac OS, it is also having roots inside FreeBSD, and we know that Sony PlayStation and Nintendo devices are also FreeBSD based, which they recently discovered the community of the FreeBSD. So it has a unique license, unlike the Linux world. So it also allows manufacturers or vendors have their own proprietary software, and not to release their proprietary software components, and yet continue to support the FreeBSD community. So it is completely a different world. So if you are a guy from if you're a guy from Linux world, this is something completely different. The way FreeBSD works, the way FreeBSD kernel is put together, the way entire operating system works. So I am still quite new into the same, and I don't know how you can modify any kernel parameters. So one more interesting thing is FreeBSD is extremely good. This is also one reason I want to migrate to FreeBSD. It's extremely good for network applications, and it's a good platform for network appliances. So there is no doubt this is the reason pfSense also uses FreeBSD platform as well. So FreeBSD, some of the core contributors are from pfSense and various other projects. So it is its network stack, like IPv4 stack, is well maintained, and it's very mature, unlike in the case of Linux. Yes, it is quite old by now in the Linux kernel as well, but it is not the case with the FreeBSD. It is lightweight and it is highly fine-tuned, and it gives top network appliance performance. And this is something which always bothers me, because the amount of spaghetti code I see in the Linux kernel networking subsystem, it kind of frustrates me, because it has so many things. You can almost bypass all this crap, and then you can just get that raw performance of network packet delivery, which is not something possible with Linux kernel. I'm not arguing all the cases. There are corner cases. You need to struggle to get that pure performance, and this sometimes freaks me out. So this is also a case, not in the case of FreeBSD. As far as I seen, it is extremely smooth, and you get that fluid experience. It is just fluid. I mean, if you use command line, so far I'm still not yet explored all the features of GUI as I showed here. So if you remotely connect like SSH rooted on 168.0.105, so you can see here, you can do various tests. It is extremely fluid. You get extremely fluid, I don't know how to say. You need to experience it. It is not the case with Linux all the time. So it depends on each distribution. You are using CentOS, you may get a different feel because it is based on Red Hat. You need that EM and DNF tools you need to use to install, remove any packages. In case if you use Debian or Ubuntu, you use apt-get platform. So in the case of FreeBSD, this is also one thing that it uses this package. So if you need something like Audacity package, install Audacity, so it gets these files and then it installs the same. So this is how it is little different than the Linux world. It is completely a different OS. It is completely the entire FreeBSD. It means the entire distribution as well the core kernel, which is not the case in the Linux as well. So always you need to distinguish Linux. You mean which distribution. So that's the reason often people, when they try initially adopting to Linux, they ask which distribution is the best distribution which I can use. The problem is there is no clear-cut answer. Really, what is he up to? Is he just want to replace his Windows system with Linux system, or is a developer, is into web applications? He is looking forward to replace his Windows development system with Linux system, or else he is a hardcore system software guy who have done some Windows device drivers or some other platform, and he just want to explore the Linux platform. So this is the sort of confusion exists among Linux users, though they hop upon each distro just the way I have also done more than a decade. So I have been in Red Hat, the old Red Hat before Fedora, after that Fedora, after that meanwhile SUSE and then CentOS, and then now eventually to Ubuntu, and I'm still wondering as well. So each distro has its own unique capabilities, but if you consider FreeBSD, either you take it or just leave it. It's just a combination of all the concepts put together beautifully as a single operating system package. So this is what is FreeBSD, guys. So this is a casual update. I don't want to kind of talk anything which I'm not yet explored and not yet comfortable. As you can see here, it has installed Audacity. It is installed. So we can try here. We can go here and let me open the same. So you can see here it is installed. So this way I'm also checking all these user space components, how they have put, and how far it is suitable over a long run, because this is where exactly I'm facing issue. Each time I update Ubuntu, so say like recently 17.04 when I updated, the problem is I get broken Kden Live. I'm unable to do any video editing. I need to do a lot of shuffling, and suddenly VLC is not even opening any videos. It is just coming with blank screen. Then I need to fiddle around with the backend settings, and then I need to set some option as X11 in video settings of VLC player, and then it starts working. And again, with this specific NVIDIA graphics card, what is happening is if I skip the videos, long videos, if I skip through the videos, it takes some time, and sometimes VLC hangs. So it's not an issue with VLC. I see that the fundamental issue is how the distro is put together. So suddenly if I replace this and put some other Linux distribution, suddenly its VLC will work out of the box. So this is where I see often these kind of issues. So I need to resolve this once for all, and I need to stick with an operating system as a desktop operating system which doesn't have these issues as such, but stick with the Linux system as a kind of core development platform, because that is meant for a development platform, because I do work on Linux and not at any FreeBSD programmer. So this way I have that clear cut this thing, so that in case if I need to develop any Linux apps, I can do in a VM, and then I can have the base operating system as FreeBSD, and I can install VirtualBox or something, and then I can run Linux inside a VM, and then that's about it. So this way I don't go away from the core Linux platform, but at the same time, as a base operating system, I can also have a rock solid operating system which doesn't change around much. So this is what is the overall idea behind this whole exercise. So hope you guys loved watching this video. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.